Have you ever noticed how the loudest voices in the room rarely achieve the most? Why is it that some people seem to get everything they want without screaming for attention, while others shout, argue, and still get overlooked? Imagine for a moment what your life could be like if you stopped broadcasting every thought, every frustration, every desire. What if the secret to real power, to influence, and to unstoppable progress wasn't in speaking more, but in saying less, in focusing more, in mastering the art of silence? You see, we live in a world obsessed with noise. Social media celebrates the loudest, the fastest, the flashiest, but it rarely rewards the wise. The truth is shocking: the people who change the world, who lead movements, who create empires, often start by doing something radical. They focus on themselves. They retreat from the chaos. They stop reacting to every provocation, and they channel all their energy into growth, into vision, into action that matters. Think about it. Every time you talk excessively, every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, you're leaking your energy. Every argument, every post, every debate that doesn't move you closer to your goals, it costs you something priceless: your mental clarity, your focus, your future. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a weapon. Silence is a strategy. Silence allows you to observe, to understand, to see opportunities that others miss. It lets you act with precision while the rest of the world is busy shouting. And here's where it gets even more powerful. The people around you will start to notice. When you speak less but act more, when your results begin to outshine your words, people will lean in. Curiosity will draw them. Respect will follow. Influence will grow. You don't need to compete in the noise. You need to create a presence so compelling that your silence speaks louder than their chaos ever could. But mastering this mindset isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to confront yourself, to face your fears, to wrestle with the urge to react. It challenges your ego, your need for validation, your addiction to attention. Yet, if you can do this, if you can focus on yourself and embrace silence, you unlock a kind of power that the loudest voices can't even imagine. This is not just about restraint. This is about transformation, about stepping into a version of yourself that is untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. And it begins with a single choice: will you keep reacting to the noise, or will you harness the quiet that changes everything? Let's start with the foundation. Everything begins with awareness. If you want to transform your life, if you want to step into a version of yourself that is unstoppable, you must first see clearly where your energy is going. Most people scatter their energy across 1,000 distractions: complaints, comparisons, arguments, the endless notifications of a world that doesn't care about your growth. They are busy reacting, busy proving themselves, busy being seen. And in the process, they exhaust themselves without ever achieving anything meaningful. Focusing on yourself means reclaiming that energy. It means asking brutally honest questions. What am I truly pursuing? What matters most? What can I do today, this week, this month, that will compound into success, influence, and fulfillment over the next decade? The moment you start asking these questions, something shifts. You begin to see your life as a resource, a finite resource, and your attention as the most valuable currency you have. Silence comes next, and this is where most people stumble. Silence is uncomfortable because it forces you to sit with yourself, to face your fears, your doubts, the voice in your head that says you aren't enough. But this is where growth lies. When you stop reacting to every stimulus, when you stop defending yourself, when you resist the urge to explain, to justify, to argue, you create a space in which clarity can emerge. You begin to understand situations instead of being consumed by them. You see patterns, opportunities, and weaknesses that others miss. Here's the advanced part: once you master this focus in silence, you become magnetic. Not because you are louder, flashier, or more aggressive, but because you are deliberate, intentional, and unshakable. People sense it. Influence doesn't come from noise. Influence comes from presence. Presence is cultivated when your actions align with your words, when your results speak louder than your explanations, and when your energy is reserved for what truly moves the needle in your life. This is a mindset shift, not a tactic. It's the difference between chasing validation and commanding respect, between reacting to every insult and choosing which battles actually matter, between living for the applause of others and building a legacy that no one can ignore. And here's the secret: few ever realize the quieter you become, the more powerful your voice becomes. The less you seek attention, the more people naturally lean toward you. The less you argue, the more influence you hold. It's paradoxical. It feels counterintuitive, but in this contradiction lies the power that will change your life forever. Let me tell you a story that will change the way you think about silence and focus. There was a young professional, ambitious, smart, full of potential, but always overwhelmed. She spoke too much in meetings, tried to prove herself constantly, and reacted to every criticism. She thought visibility meant success. But months passed and she realized she was exhausted, yet unseen. Then one day she made a radical choice. She decided to speak less and focus more, not just on tasks, but on herself. She observed, she learned, she honed her skills in private without seeking applause. At first, it was uncomfortable. People noticed her silence and misinterpreted it. Some thought she had lost confidence. But quietly, she built her competence, her expertise, her clarity. When she finally spoke, it wasn't noise, it was insight. Her words carried weight. Her colleagues leaned in. Her influence grew exponentially, not because she tried harder, because she invested in herself in the quiet moments that no one else valued. Within months, She was leading projects that previously seemed impossible, gaining respect she had been chasing for years. This is not an isolated story. Every high achiever you admire, every leader who changes industries, has mastered this principle in some form. They understand that distraction is the enemy, that reactive behavior is a trap, and that the true path to power and influence starts internally. Focused attention and deliberate silence create a ripple effect. Clarity brings better decisions. Better decisions create better results, and better results attract respect, influence, and opportunity. Imagine your life like a garden. Every time you react impulsively, you scatter seeds into infertile soil, energy wasted, potential lost. But when you focus on yourself, when you nurture your skills, your mind, your vision quietly, you plant seeds that grow into strong, unshakable trees. And when the world finally notices, it doesn't just see a person, it sees a force. Here's the truth: you don't need to compete in the noise. You don't need to shout, post, or explain. You need to commit to yourself, consistently, relentlessly. The world will naturally gravitate towards someone who is grounded, calm, and unstoppable, while those addicted to attention remain lost in chaos. The lesson is simple yet profound: results speak louder than words. Focus speaks louder than noise. Silence speaks louder than arguments. The more you master this mindset, the more you step into your true potential, and the more life begins to bend in your favor. Now that you understand the power of focus and silence, let's go deeper. Here's where most people fail. They know they should stay silent and focus, but they don't understand the psychological traps that keep them reactive, distracted, and powerless. Your mind is wired to seek validation, to chase attention, to react instantly to threats and provocations. It's not evil, it's survival. But in today's world, survival instincts often sabotage your growth. Mastering focus and silence is not just a strategy, it's a deliberate rewiring of your brain. Step 1: awareness of triggers. Every time someone criticizes you, every time you feel ignored or dismissed, notice the urge to react. That impulse, that tiny voice demanding explanation or defense, is where you have the choice. React, and you give away energy and control. Stay silent, observe, and analyze, and you gain clarity and influence. The people who achieve extraordinary results don't react to every signal. They respond selectively, with precision. Step 2: the art of deep work. Silence isn't only about external restraint, it's about creating internal focus. Block distractions, set boundaries, and dedicate hours to uninterrupted, high-value work. This is where competence multiplies. The louder the world gets, the more this silent, focused practice compounds your results. While others chase trends, post updates, argue on forums, or try to prove themselves, you're building mastery quietly, steadily, undeniably. Step 3: emotional regulation. Staying silent doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means controlling when and how you express them. Emotional intelligence is your secret weapon. When you remain composed, even under pressure, people unconsciously respect you, lean on you, and follow you. Your silence communicates confidence, restraint, and authority far more effectively than words ever could. Step 4: deliberate visibility. This may sound counterintuitive, silence yet visibility. But the most powerful people reveal only what matters. They share insights at the right time, actions at the right moment, and results consistently. This strategic silence builds anticipation, curiosity, and influence. People start paying attention, not to noise, but to substance. Step 5: patience is power. Immediate gratification is the enemy of greatness. Focus and silence demand patience. Your growth, your influence, your results, these take time to materialize. The more you resist the urge to react, the more powerful your eventual impact becomes. By combining these strategies, trigger awareness, deep work, emotional regulation, deliberate visibility, and patience, you create an unshakable mindset. A mindset that converts silence into influence, focus into unstoppable momentum, and personal mastery into lasting success. The people who truly change their lives in the world are not the loudest, they are the most disciplined. And discipline begins with quiet, focused, intentional action. Look at the most successful people in history, the innovators, the leaders, the game changers. What do they all have in common? Not flashy noise, not constant self-promotion, not reacting to every challenge or criticism. They share one unmistakable trait: focus, discipline, and the strategic use of silence. Take Steve Jobs, for example. He wasn't the loudest person in every room, but he listened deeply, observed carefully, and focused relentlessly on the vision he believed in. He didn't respond to every trend or distraction. He concentrated on creating products that mattered, and the world eventually noticed. His silence in the face of criticism, his focus on design and perfection turned him into a legend. Or consider Warren Buffett. A billionaire investor, but he doesn't chase the spotlight. He spends most of his time reading, thinking, and analyzing quietly. He makes decisions deliberately, patiently, and without reacting to every market noise. His influence isn't in what he says, it's in the consistent results he delivers. People follow him because he embodies calm authority and mastery, not because he shouts for attention. Even in history, figures like Abraham Lincoln mastered this principle. He listened before he spoke, carefully chose his words, and acted with strategic silence. The weight of his decisions came not from forceful arguments, but from the deliberate focus he placed on understanding people, situations, and the future. His quiet strength inspired trust, loyalty, and enduring impact. The lesson is simple. Action amplified by silence creates authority, presence, and influence that words alone cannot achieve. When you focus on yourself, your craft, and your vision, and resist the impulse to react impulsively, you cultivate a form of power that's magnetic. People notice results, not excuses. They follow people who are disciplined, intentional, and unshakable. But here's the twist most people miss is it's not about avoiding communication altogether. It's about selective expression. You speak when it matters. You act when it matters. You invest your energy where it yields the highest return. This is what separates those who are reactive from those who are truly transformative. Your challenge is this: if you want extraordinary results in 2026, you must begin to think like these leaders. Observe more than you speak. Invest in yourself before seeking validation. Let your actions, not your words, define your presence. Your results will command attention, your silence will inspire curiosity, and your focus will create unstoppable momentum. The people who dominate their fields aren't the loudest, they're the most disciplined. They understand that mastery is forged in quiet, deliberate, focused action. And now, it's your turn to embrace the same path. Now that you understand the power of focus and silence, it's time to make it practical. Mindset alone won't transform your life. Actionable habits will. If you want to step into a version of yourself that is unstoppable in 2026, you must build a system that reinforces silence, clarity, and relentless focus every single day. Start with your mornings. The first hour of your day determines the trajectory of the next 23. Resist the urge to check notifications, news, or social media. Instead, spend that time in quiet reflection. Meditate, journal, or visualize the outcomes you want. This isn't a soft suggestion, it's a strategy used by the most influential people in the world. Silence in the morning creates mental space to prioritize, to think clearly, and to focus on what actually matters instead of reacting to what doesn't. Next, practice the single task rule. Multitasking is the enemy of mastery. When you focus on one high-value task at a time without interruption, your brain enters a state of deep work. Distractions are unavoidable, but the disciplined person manages them. Silence your phone, close unnecessary tabs, and dedicate blocks of time to one objective. The results are exponential. What takes someone else a week, you can achieve in a day because your attention is undivided. Another powerful habit: selective communication. Not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every emotion needs to be shared. By speaking deliberately, you enhance your credibility, your influence, and your presence. People notice restraint. They respect composure. You aren't ignoring the world. You're choosing where to invest your energy. Reflection is also critical. At the end of each day, review your actions. Ask yourself, did I react unnecessarily? Did I invest my time in things that truly matter? Did I stay focused on my vision or get lost in noise? This habit of review keeps you accountable and sharpens your ability to stay silent, strategic, and effective. Finally, embrace patience. Habits take time to cement. The temptation to revert to old reactive patterns will always exist. But the person who perseveres, who focuses inward, who masters silence, reaps the rewards that others only dream about. This combination of morning quiet, single task focus, selective communication, reflection, and patience forms the foundation of a life built on influence, results in unstoppable momentum. Your challenge is to implement these habits daily. Focus on yourself. Protect your energy, harness the power of silence, and watch as the world around you shifts, not because you shouted, but because you mastered the quiet power that changes everything. Even when you understand the power of focus and silence, the world is constantly working against you. Your mind, your environment, and society itself push you to react, to prove yourself, to chase approval. These forces are subtle but relentless. They create mental blocks that keep most people trapped in distraction, noise, and unfulfilled potential. The first block is fear: fear of being ignored, fear of missing out, fear of judgment. When you stay silent, a part of you worries. Will people think I'm weak? Will I lose relevance? Will I be forgotten? These fears are normal, but they are also illusions. Silence is not weakness, it's power in disguise. The people who succeed are those who overcome the fear of invisibility and trust that results, not noise, will speak on their behalf. The second block is impatience. We live in a world addicted to speed and instant gratification. If you focus inward, if you practice silence, it may feel like nothing is happening. But growth is compounding, like planting seeds in fertile soil. You won't see immediate results, but persistence creates unstoppable momentum. Those who quit too soon never realize the power they could have wielded. Third, societal pressure pushes you to over-communicate and over-perform in ways that don't serve your long-term goals. Social media, work culture, even family expectations demand constant explanation, constant visibility, constant reaction. If you give in, you leak energy and scatter focus. You must consciously choose what battles matter, what words are worth saying, and what distractions to ignore. Strategic silence is your shield against external chaos. Fourth, the inner critic. Your own thoughts often sabotage you more than anyone else. Am I doing enough? Am I being seen? Should I defend myself? This internal noise can be deafening if unchecked. The solution is mindfulness and deliberate reflection. Notice the urges to react, analyze their impact, and redirect your energy toward meaningful action. Over time, the inner critic transforms from a source of doubt into a guide for growth. Overcoming these blocks isn't easy. It demands courage, discipline, and self-trust. But every step towards silence and focus amplifies your influence, sharpens your clarity, and compounds your results. You begin to see life differently. Distractions lose power, criticism loses grip, and your attention becomes the most formidable weapon you own. Remember, silence is a choice you make consistently. Focus is a muscle you strengthen daily. Mental blocks, fear, and societal pressure will always exist, but they only have power if you give it to them. When you resist, when you stay quiet, when you focus relentlessly on yourself, you become unstoppable. Now let's take your focus and silence to the next level, into the mental arena. Mastery isn't just about habits, it's about programming your mind to respond intentionally, not reactively. One of the most powerful tools you have is visualization. Imagine your day before it begins. Not the chaos, not the distractions, but the person you want to be. See yourself moving through challenges calmly, making decisions deliberately, speaking only when it amplifies your influence, and staying silent when words add no value. Visualization trains your brain to act with precision, turning focus and restraint into second nature. Next, adopt mental rehearsals for difficult situations. Anticipate the moments that trigger reactions, criticism, conflict, or pressure, and mentally practice your response. Picture yourself staying silent, observing, and acting strategically. The more you rehearse internally, the less reactive you become externally. You develop what I call predictive calm, the ability to handle the unexpected with composure, turning potential chaos into opportunity. Another strategy, anchor yourself with intention. Begin every action by asking, why am I doing this? Will this move me closer to my goal? This tiny mental pause creates a filter for distractions, arguments, and unnecessary noise. Your brain starts prioritizing only what truly matters, making your silence purposeful and your focus unshakable. Emotional conditioning is critical. Train yourself to feel uncomfortable with reaction and comfortable with observation. This rewires your instincts. At first, silence will feel unnatural. You'll feel exposed, unheard, or invisible. That discomfort is a sign that growth is happening. Lean into it. Every moment you resist the urge to speak unnecessarily, every moment you focus on yourself instead of the noise around you, you strengthen a skill that most people never develop. Finally, create a mental pause button. When tension rises or impulses surge, literally pause, breathe, observe. Respond deliberately. This simple act, repeated consistently, builds mental resilience, allowing you to maintain control regardless of external pressure. These visualization and mental strategies turn silence from a conscious effort into a natural state. Focus becomes effortless because your mind is trained to prioritize, your emotions are calibrated, and your reactions are intentional. Over time, people will notice the transformation, not because you tell them, but because your presence, clarity, and results speak louder than words ever could. In 26, the person who masters their mind, who leverages visualization, mental rehearsal, intention, and emotional control will navigate life with precision, influence, and unstoppable momentum. Silence and focus will no longer be a strategy. They will be your identity. Understanding focus and silence in theory is one thing, but applying them in real life, where stakes are high, is what separates average people from unstoppable achievers. Every interaction, every decision, every relationship is a test. The question isn't whether you can stay silent or focused in calm moments. It's whether you can maintain it when pressure, emotion, or chaos hits. In professional environments, high-stakes meetings or negotiations are where your discipline pays off. Most people feel compelled to react to every comment, defend every point, or assert their opinion at every turn. But the person who practices silence strategically observes first. They listen to what is said and what is left unsaid. They analyze motivations, gauge reactions, and choose words only when they carry maximum impact. This approach creates authority and respect. People naturally defer to someone who acts deliberately rather than reacts impulsively. In personal relationships, the stakes are just as high. Arguments, misunderstandings, and emotional triggers often push us into reactive behaviors. But when you practice strategic silence, you create space for understanding and empathy. You stop escalating conflicts and start creating solutions. You gain clarity about what truly matters and what's worth your energy. Silence becomes a tool for influence, not avoidance. It allows you to communicate from a place of strength rather than fear. High-stakes moments also test your ability to prioritize. Not everything deserves your attention or response. By focusing on yourself and what you can control, you conserve energy for decisions that matter. Every unnecessary reaction is wasted momentum. The disciplined person doesn't scatter attention. They concentrate it on the actions, relationships, and decisions that yield exponential results. Another key principle, consistency, is magnetic. People notice when you are calm, measured, and intentional regardless of external chaos. Your silence signals confidence, your focus signals competence, and your actions deliver results. Over time, this builds trust and influence that cannot be bought or faked. Remember, applying these strategies isn't passive, it's active mastery. Every high-pressure situation is an opportunity to demonstrate clarity, control, and power. You are training yourself to thrive under stress, to influence without words, and to prioritize impact over ego. The more you practice in professional and personal spheres, the more instinctive your focus and silence become. By integrating these strategies into every interaction, you transform relationships, career opportunities, and personal influence. You move from being reactive to being magnetic, from being overlooked to being unforgettable, from living in chaos to commanding your life with precision. Now it all comes together. You've seen the power of focus, the discipline of silence, and the strategies that transform ordinary effort into extraordinary results. But understanding is nothing without action. If you truly want 2026 to be the year you change everything, you must commit. Not occasionally, not when it's convenient, but consistently, relentlessly, and unapologetically. Imagine your life as a canvas. Every choice, every word, every reaction is a brushstroke. If you scatter your energy on noise, distractions, and reactions, your canvas becomes chaotic, unfinished, and dull. But when you focus on yourself, when you wield silence as your tool, every action becomes deliberate. Every word, every decision, every step is intentional. You create a masterpiece of influence, results, and fulfillment. The most successful people in history, leaders, innovators, visionaries, did not achieve greatness by reacting to the world. They achieved it by mastering themselves. They stayed quiet when the world shouted. They focused when others floundered. They invested in their growth, their skills, their vision, and the world responded. Influence, respect, and results followed naturally because their presence and their actions spoke louder than words ever could. This is your call to action. Start today. Begin with small, deliberate steps. Observe your impulses. Choose what deserves your energy. Practice silence in moments that test you. And focus on your personal growth relentlessly. Each day you practice this, your momentum compounds. The distractions that once controlled you lose their power. The noise that once consumed you fades into irrelevance. Your mind becomes your strongest ally, your energy your most valuable currency, and your presence magnetic. Remember, silence is not weakness. Focus is not isolation. These are weapons of clarity, influence, and transformation. The quieter you become, the more powerful you are. The more you focus on yourself, the more unstoppable your results become. The more intentional your actions, the more the world bends in your favor. 2026 is not just another year. It can be the year you reclaim your power, the year you stop reacting to the noise, the year you embrace silence, sharpen your focus, and step into a version of yourself that is unshakable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. Your transformation begins with a single choice. Will you continue scattering your energy, or will you harness it and change everything? The choice is yours. The time is now. Focus, stay silent. Become unstoppable.